In this presentation, we're going to use David Freedman's Lies, Damn Lies, and Medical Science. And we're going to look at his writing and glean from it some techniques that you can use in your essays. Let's start with his title. Again, and we saw this with the other writing lecture, where we looked at the other one of the other readings. This article starts with an intriguing title. Now, this is the first exposure your reader has to your essay. So it's always nice if you can write a title that's clever. But the most important thing is that you write a title that's relevant to your point, and this one is. It's talking about the often erroneous results of medical studies and the questionable ethics that are the impetus for such studies. So it's definitely a relevant title, but additionally, it's also a clever title because it's unexpected. Lies, damn lies, and what? Medical science? Nobody expects science to be associated with lies, so this is why it makes an intriguing title. Um, and this I mentioned as well in another writing lecture. If you start your essay with an anecdote, a brief story related to your essay's topic, it automatically engages your reader. It makes them want to continue reading to find out what happens in this story. And again, it's just like the title. Not only is it an engaging strategy, but additionally, it's got to be relevant. Obviously, what would be the point of putting an anecdote in there that wasn't really relevant to your point? So in this case, he's talking about the rumor that some appendices were being taken out of Albanian patients, um, and they weren't necessarily that nothing was wrong with them. So this points to the lack of ethics in medicine, which is going to be a big topic of the essay. So um, it's a relevant anecdote and it's an engaging anecdote. Let's discuss another feature that you don't really see um, 100% in professionally written essays, but it's something that should be done in academic essays, which is why I'm bringing it up here. So I'm showing you an example from page 3. In blue here, I've indicated the topic sentence for that paragraph, and let's look at it. It didn't turn out that way. So whatever he was talking about in the previous paragraph, this is sort of a transition, that first sentence. It didn't turn out that way. And then here's the point. In poring over medical journals, he was struck by how many findings of all types were refuted by later findings. So based on that sentence, we know this paragraph is going to discuss that, how some studies results have been refuted. And of course, that is exactly what is done in the paragraph. So the topic sentence is supposed to indicate the point of the paragraph. It tells readers what to expect from your paragraph, and it can be the first one or two sentences of the paragraph. In this case, the student or the writer uses the first sentence as sort of the transition into the paragraph, and then the second sentence states the point. Also, you've presented your point. Now the body of your paragraph needs to present plenty of evidence for that point. And I've put in green here all of the examples that the writer has used to support the point expressed in the topic sentence. Do you see? It's almost the whole paragraph. So I want you to think about that. Support is the most important part of your essay. It's the heart of your essay. So each body paragraph should present uh, plenty of convincing support for your point. Let's discuss the way the author transitions between paragraphs, and you can use some of these techniques in your own writing. Um, Oftentimes, as I pointed out on the other slide, you can use a full sentence to transition, as the writer does here. I put that in purple. Um, Whatever he was saying in the previous paragraph, whatever expectation was expressed, the sentence that starts the next paragraph is a good transition from that. It shows that, hey, it didn't turn out that way. So it's a contrast to the previous paragraph. And it also, in that way, connects it to the previous paragraph. You can also use transitional words, and here I've just used an example from the, the, the following body paragraph, which is but. I want you to be careful about this, though. So a lot of times students only use transitional words. Additionally, furthermore, moreover, and when you use only transitional words as your way to transition, oftentimes it can make your writing seem unsophisticated. So it's always more sophisticated to use phrases, synonymous phrases, as I have here in blue. So it says, but beyond the headlines. So beyond the headlines references the examples from the news that were presented in the previous paragraph. So it reminds readers of the previous paragraph while then going on to present an additional point. So it's always more sophisticated if you can use those synonymous phrases. Let's discuss how the author presents facts and figures. He does it in a sophisticated way. He doesn't just quote facts and figures. He doesn't do that at all. Instead, he takes the information, he makes sure he made sure he understood it, and then he presents it so that readers can easily understand and grasp it. And that's your job as a writer, to make the information accessible to readers. Avoid quoting statistics and facts. Present them in your own way, in a way that you know readers can clearly understand. And finally, I just want to talk about, well, not finally, this is not the last slide, but I want to talk about the word choices the writer uses. I think this is important. He doesn't just use any old verb. He chooses verbs that communicate meaning. So in this paragraph on page 1, he's trying to communicate the atmosphere of the medical school campus in which this meeting was held. And so he uses words to communicate this loose, casual atmosphere that you wouldn't expect from a medical convention. So instead of just saying in the first sentence that the medical school campus was located across from a series of sharp hills, he says plunked crazily. So plunked, that means just sort of dropped in. So that makes it seem less planned, more casual. And then he's describing the building, and he says that it was festooned with political graffiti. Festooned gives the idea of decorations, but here it's almost ironic because it's graffiti. But again, it's giving that, it's communicating that casual atmosphere. And then look at the next word I have in blue, sprawled. That means that the people were just kind of sitting very casually, not in a formal manner at all. So he could have said sitting around the table were, and he gives the names, but he didn't. He used that word sprawled. So it's always nice when you can use specific verbs to communicate the message, and to add to it. It makes the writing much more vivid. Finally, in his conclusion, he emphasizes the main points about the lack of ethics and how funding jeopardizes the ethics in medical research. He doesn't repeat his points. He didn't just cut and paste or repeat his points. He reinforces his points. But also, because a problem is being presented in this paper, his conclusion alludes very briefly to a solution. In this case, the public shouldn't always expect science to be right. That's fine if you've presented a problem in your essay to conclude it by alluding to a solution. Just don't go deeply into it, because your conclusion is not the place to start adding new details. So you can see he just briefly mentions a solution. He doesn't go into it. So let's see what we've learned here. Create an engaging, relevant title. Use a relevant anecdote as your introduction, and doing so engages your readers. Start each body paragraph with a topic sentence that expresses its key point. Present plenty of supporting evidence for that topic sentence. And in terms of support, make your statistics and figures that you're presenting, but summarize those in a way that makes them accessible to your readers. Never quote that kind of information. Use transitional words and synonymous phrases to connect your ideas between paragraphs. And finally, conclude your essay by reinforcing your point without repeating it. And if you've presented a problem in your essay, your conclusion can briefly allude to that problem.